Hello and welcome on in, everyone, to episode 2 of the New World Top 5 Fights. If you guys want to send in your own clips for the top 5, you can send those to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. And starting us off today, we have got the real Jesus, and he's playing a bow rapier build. And he actually was chased down by these green players for quite some time, and he ended up running up behind them and feeding them the snipes, 2 players down just like that. So much damage off those heavies with the bow. And then the rest of the players turn around, start charging towards him. Fantastic evade there, just moving back from the hammer player and then feeding him arrows. He goes down as well. And a little bit of trash talk because he did get chased for quite some time before he was able to turn around and hit these guys. But he just keeps pushing forward here, shooting arrows into these guys. The poison shot on the ground there to get the dot on the enemy healer. And then he switches to the other archer here, starts feeding him some shots, taking a bit of damage himself, a little bit of a strafe, picking up his loot, of course. And then there we go, the rapid fire on the bow, 2 quick shots there. He cancels it with the jump. Look at how he's jumping and canceling these arrow shots. He lands 2 beautiful snipes. Both players go down. Well played. Now, moving on to our next fight, we've got HookyHook, and he's playing some Ice Gauntlet Fire Staff, one of the best PvP builds you can play right now. And there you can see why. He throws down the Ice Storm, trapping 1 player in it. A lot of damage with those heavy attacks, keeping the player frozen there, and he brings 1 player down. The rest of the players jumping on top of him, and HookyHook actually dealing with a little bit of lag here, managing to just get the regen potion and just get the dodge roll at the last second there. He throws down another Ice Shower, the Ice Storm on top. 2 players get trapped in it. He feeds them the heavy attacks. 1 guy down, the other guy taking a lot of damage from the dots. And now there's 2 bodies on the ground, and it looks like HookyHook's in no rush to finish them off. He just starts chasing the last guy down here, and this guy decides to run away. No, it's not going to be that easy to get away from a mage. Hooky just stays on top of him, throws down the Ice Storm, hits him with that heavy attack for the freeze, and then finishes him off. Nice play. Now, moving on to our next fight, we've got ImLeTHug, and he's playing a Fire Staff Rapier build, hanging out in Windsward Keep, just looking for some trouble with the green players here, and he found some. 2 players on top of him, 1 player coming from behind with the spear there, gets a nasty knockdown into the stab, and ImLeTHug right away just retreats, switches back to his rapier, tries to jump on top of him, and then switches back to the Fire Staff and does a little bit of fencing with this guy as he pulls his bow out, and the other player that jumped off the edge comes back up here. ImLeTHug just kind of rolling back, a nice rapier heavy attack into the riposte, getting a fantastic bait on that enemy player's attack, and then the flesh to go through that player to finish him off. Unfortunately, he did down the player, but he's unable to finish him, taking a lot of pressure from the enemy spear player, and ImLeTHug just hanging on. That was 40-something hit points, so close to dead. He manages to get the food regen just in time, and then kites around the corner of the keep here and tries to throw the fireball down. Another AoE with the Pillar of Fire here, just trying to get the first hit on that player. Unfortunately, he manages to clip Thug with an arrow there, and Thug just retreats a little bit more. He's got an archer behind him shooting some poison arrows down as well, and he just goes for a big rapier gap close into the backstab off the flesh. Huge damage on that player, and a beautiful snipe with the fireball to finish off that guy as he's trying to get away. And now ImLeTHug is getting chased down by these opponents. They're shooting projectiles at him, so he's just doing a little bit of a kite in the field here as he retreats to try to find a little bit better terrain, and a nice fireball on that player. Unfortunately, he hits him with the spear knockback, but ImLeTHug manages to get the Pillar of Fire off there as well, and a fantastic flesh again into the backstab, and Thug takes down another player, retreating back behind the corner of the keep here just to get a little bit of resource back, and the enemy players end up running off a different direction. So Thug goes through the keep, and on the other side he finds the green players, just 2 I think of them left, and he right away jumps on top of the first player with the rapier gap close into the backstab, getting some decent damage, but getting hit by the enemy archer as soon as he goes aggressive. Tries to get the Pillar of Fire. The enemy rapier player doing a lot of damage, but a fantastic counter riposte by LeThug, and then he hits him with the heavy attack to finish him off. And now he's pretty low hit points, retreating back towards the keep. A fantastic gap close with the Fire Staff there, healing up with the bread. And the last enemy player, he ends up running inside, and that is all the kills that LeThug is able to get. And moving on to the next fight, we've got Alexander, and he's playing an Ice Gauntlet Rapier combo. And he's just doing a little bit of fighting against some players outside here, and he hits one of the players with a fantastic lockdown on the Ice Gauntlet, couple heavy attacks to bring him down, and then the green players end up running off a little bit, and Alexander turns around and he starts hunting them, throwing some Ice Gauntlet heavy attacks at a distance here, trying to get their attention, and the green players turn around and start shooting projectiles back. He's got someone a little bit on the right there, and Alex decides that he's just going to kite back a little bit, keep feeding them those heavy attacks, and just try his best, I think, to split these guys up. The first player walks right into the trap. Oh no, he died so fast from that. Alex just hits him with a heavy attack, and he goes down to the dot as well. And then he's got 2 players left here, and Alex just feeding them those Ice Gauntlet heavies at a distance, trying to bait them on top of him. The hammer player comes charging in, and Alex just feeds him some heavy attacks, throws down the Ice Shower, catching the player in the Immobilized, and there's the Ice Storm and the heavy attacks, and that is a death sentence with the Ice Gauntlet there. And now all Alex has to do is finish him off. Unfortunately, just missing the player with the rapier when they're on the ground like that. I do that all the time as well. And now he's got just this last enemy player left, and this guy is Life Staff, and I'm not sure what his other weapon is, but he's got the Life Staff out right now. So the fight against him ends up being like 4 minutes. Eventually, though, Alex manages to get a perfect Ice Storm trap and then feeds him the heavy attacks. The enemy player just trying to go for the potion, but unable to get it in time. And finally, for the last fight today, we've got SparkySharky, and he's playing some Fire Staff Rapier. And he's outside the Great Cleave, I think just running those PvP quests. A great spot to find yourself some small-scale PvP action, especially when you're in the level 50s. And he's doing a 1v1 against a player there, and 2 other yellow players appear. And now Sparky's in a little bit of a dangerous situation, getting chased down. He's got a lot of trees to work with here. That's great with the Fire Staff Rapier. He's got a lot of mobility. So he decides to actually pull away from the trees, just using his speed to try to break a little bit of distance. There we see the Pillar of Fire go down, and then Sparky goes for a fantastic flesh, actually landing the backstab there, and then very quickly evading away. A really good in and out, just putting a bit of damage into one of the targets, and he keeps moving his way up the hill here, just using the height of the hill itself as a little bit of a buffer against the ranged attacks, because they're on the downside of the hill there, and Sparky just keeps on backing up, trying to get those nice backstabs. Fantastic job going for that riposte, and an absolutely amazing swivel there with the evade. Just doing a great job evading all the combos from those guys, and he gets chomped for just a second by all 3 of them. And you see Sparky's health drop to 25%. Very quickly going for his potion. Fire Staff gap close right back through those guys, and a big fireball on top of them. Tries to get the Pillar of Fire as well. Unfortunately, the enemy players there didn't get hit by it, and Sparky goes for the gap close with the rapier through again, trying to land the backstab. Didn't hit it this time, and he just retreats back up the hill here, just favoring a little bit more better terrain. A good shot there with the Pillar of Fire. Goes for the rapier gap closer into the backstab, into the riposte. Fantastic combo on these guys, and Sparky staying so aggressive here. The enemy player going for his sword and shield block, unfortunately hitting Sparky as he goes for the gap closer, giving him the bonk there. Sparky does have the potion though. He throws it down, throws the fireball at his feet, and then a rapier gap closer through again, just to break a bit of distance, but everybody took a lot of damage there. Sparky's not the only one that's hurting, and he's trying to keep the pressure on these guys, but he's waiting on that potion cooldown, and he's got his gap closers ready. He feeds them with a nice fireball there, tries to go for the burnout, unfortunately getting interrupted by the sword and shield player there, and then goes for the flesh into the backstab. Not quite enough distance to land on the target, and Sparky just keeps kiting these guys out, using the speed of the Fire Staff Rapier as best he can to break distance and just give him chances to re-engage. And there we see a great burnout, good damage on 2 of the players. 1 player at half health there. Sparky goes for the gap closer with the rapier. Big damage right away, anticipating the other player attacking. Gets a fantastic riposte stun off, and the enemy player so low. Fantastic snipe with the light attack there. Sparky just finishing him off, and then another poke just to finish the down player. And Sparky's going to grab himself a camp just in case, hey? But the fight's slowly starting to go more in his favor. Another burnout through the players into the Pillar of Fire as the opposing hammer player goes for his AoE smash there. So a nice connection, and then Sparky goes through them with the rapier. And this fight here, he knows he's just got to kite them out, whittle away as best he can, and then when that opportunity comes to put a big combo in them, He's got to take it, so he just keeps on kiting here, throwing good damage into the spear player. Fantastic crit with the fireball. Good read on the riposte, the 1 second of momentary invulnerability, allowing him to absorb the attack from the spear player as well. And then Sparky does a great job just swiveling around him, staying behind him, and getting those backstabs. And now he's got just the last player left, throwing down the Pillar of Fire against the Sword and Board player. That's basically the time I like to use Pillar of Fire too, because it is not blockable. And the Sword and Board player getting very low hit points here. Sparky trying to go for that finishing move. Unfortunately, he's hit by the wolf with the stagger there. And Sparky just kind of backing up a little bit, playing it a little safe here. I like that call. He doesn't have to take any unnecessary risks. It's just one opponent left, and he's got a lot more speed than him. Quickly healing up with the potion, getting the food as well. And there's a good fireball connection as the Sword and Board player drops his block to go for the light attack spam, feeding Sparky a fantastic riposte counter there. And Sparky's got this guy very low hit points, starts giving him the heavy attacks. This player's just holding block. There it is, breaking the block. And then Sparky hits him with the little poke there into the light attack chain and takes it home. And for the bonus clip, we've got Zernial playing some Ice Gauntlet and Rapier returning again this week. Thank you guys so much for sending in your clips for the top 5. If you want to check out the content creators featured in today's episode, I've got links to all of their channels down in the description below. And of course, if you want to send in your own clip for the top 5, you can send that to Kristofer at pvpnewworld.com. You can check out my website, pvpnewworld.com. It's got written guides to all of my builds, as well as a bunch of information on the game. If you guys want to catch some live gameplay from me, there is a link to my Twitch down in the description below, and there's a link to my Twitter there too if you guys want to keep up to date with what's going on. This show is sponsored by What the Fast. It's a VPN for gamers. They can give you better ping to your favorite games, free to try for the first month, and there's a link down below in the description for you. And then last but not least, a massive thank you and shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. Without you guys, I couldn't do this job, so thank you everybody so much for supporting. Thank you everybody so much just for tuning in and watching. Thank you again for sending in those fantastic clips, guys. As always, I hope that you all enjoyed. Have a fantastic night, everyone, and I'll see you next time.